That's alright, I've missed you all, and I explain in this video in the card above as to what's been going on in my life. But more importantly, we have some major catching up to do, and all the stories of today will emphasize the DC Cinematic Universe, so with that being said, the DCEU is dead, long live DC Films. Vulture's Abraham Reisman recently wrote a very extensive piece on Warner Bros. DC franchise. We got some great quotes from DC Entertainment President Diane and DC Films co-president Geoff Johns. Their statements also reinforced a lot of the rumor and speculation that we reported on last year and earlier this year, but we'll get to that shortly. The first big piece of news, however, surrounds the revelation that the DC Extended Universe is used by no one involved in either DC Entertainment or DC Films. In fact, it was nothing more than a sardonic quip courtesy of a writer for Entertainment Weekly. Thanks to excellent reporting by Abraham Reisman, we've learned that in 2015, Keith Stackowitz with Entertainment Weekly wrote an article about the developing DC Cinematic Universe. Within that piece, he decided to bestow the epithet upon the upcoming DC film slate as the DC Extended Universe. Stackowitz said to Reisman, after basically him hunting him down, "It was my own phrasing when I used it in the story. Just seemed like the kind of thing they'd call it. I just look back on the piece now and notice the in my mind sardonic little trademark symbol I gave it. Whoops." First of all, how embarrassing that the manner in which your franchise is referred to began not out of earnest admiration or praise, but as a joke. If I were a Warner Brothers executive, I would immediately cut any access or invites to Keith Stackowitz forever until eternity because, wow. But second, as a viewer, thank God, because the DCEU with that extra E always sounded just awful, like an amateur's way of distinguishing themselves apart from the mega movie machine that is Marvel proper. And now we know that clearly no one connected with the DC Enterprise actually approved or gave that title. However, the silence itself, one could argue, in fact condoned its usage, and it's basically Warner Brothers' fault that they let people run around using a phrase made up by some random-ass writer at Entertainment Weekly as a joke. As someone that's handled PR, it stokes my anger that one of the tweets the Vulture reporter Reisman tweeted out was how no one at WB or DC knew where the phrase came from. And that's shocking to me because of the number of people in their PR and marketing departments and the amount of money spent on those staffers alone. I think it's also representative of how disconnected Warner Brothers seems to be in its marketing of the DC films, because you would think that someone in charge would come out and clarify quickly that the phrase the DC Extended Universe is not at all what we're calling the cinematic universe that we're creating. It is not official terminology, we are just DC Films. It's especially frustrating when Geoff Johns makes the following statement. Some of the stuff is true, some of it isn't true. When we talk about things or we're making deals for people to develop scripts or whatever, sometimes things leak, sometimes things are misreported, and it's frustrating because we do want to go out there and talk about what our strategy is, and this stuff just muddies the water. There's a lot of internal conversations going on about how do we help kind of clean that up a bit. What do you mean clean this up a bit? You tell your representative to respond to a piece with misinformation and tell that to the reporter, hey, that's inaccurate, so that they can update the piece. Or in this case, given how leaky the DC department seems to be and how prevalent the negative publicity comes about, put out a statement on the big stuff right. Not every little thing, but just make sure that you have a statement out to the public that actually reinforces what your strategy is without giving away the entire farm. And this is basic PR 101. Be proactive and not reactive in your actions when it comes to publicity for your brand. But that's the criticism that I have for the DC franchise. Onward to story number 2. Alright, so next, within the Vulture article, we also have an emphasis by Presidents Nelson and Johns on the direction of the franchise moving forward. Nelson said, "Our intention certainly moving forward is using the continuity to help make sure nothing is diverging in a way that doesn't make sense, but there's no insistence upon an overall storyline or interconnectivity in that universe." The writer made sure to note that the top brass surrounding Nelson nodded positively in response. Johns went on to say, referencing Nelson's statement and using the upcoming 2018 Aquaman film as an example, the movie's not about another movie. Some of the movies do not connect the characters together like Justice League, but like with Aquaman, our goal is not to connect Aquaman to every movie. Nelson went on to confirm Johns' position. Moving forward, you'll see the DC movie universe being a universe, but one that comes from the heart of the filmmaker who's creating them. So, a lot of people seem to be misconstruing the comments as the end of what Zack Snyder actualized before, but I think that's the wrong lens from which to view their comments, and I say, instead, cool. It's great to emphasize world building, but I genuinely believe that within the context as presented, Nelson and John's statements are the much needed reassurance that us fans need that they will be emphasizing story first. It's not that they'd be lambasting or laying waste or ending the world the universe has already created and outlined before, but that it's about the characterization and narrative first. I read their comments as making sure that the structural integrity of the story is given precedence first, with consideration of the connective tissue, but not so much so that it would compromise the film in favor of expanding the cinematic universe. That's what should be happening with films. And for us fans that feel that we're on the outskirts or catching up in some sort of rat race of a cinematic centerfold contest, we need to chill out. We need to have confidence in the team responsible for how this cinematic universe will unfold. And I say that founded upon the fact that the new creative team helming the DC universe recently unleashed Wonder Woman to massive critical success, and it outperforming in terms of box office expectations. The DC universe can succeed, but the only thing DC needs to do right now is to take proactive steps to control its public position, lest it let haters and doubters feast upon its perceived passivity. And at least with this story, Geoff Johns did come out to clarify that the films were all still connected within the same universe. But what do you guys think about these comments from Geoff Johns and Diane Nelson? Let me know down in the comments below. Dan, remember, please subscribe so that you're notified in your newsfeed when the next video is uploaded. Please remember to give this video a like and share it about. Help support this channel through Patreon and using any of the affiliate links in the description below. You people are awesome, as always. And thanks for watching.